Right now, though, I want to welcome to the program actress and founder and co-chair of Constituting America, Miss Janine Turner. How you doing tonight, Janine?
I'm fine. How are you
I
doing?
am good. Thanks for coming back on the program. Good talking to you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Always, always, always a pleasure.
You just keep getting busier and busier. You keep adding things to your life. Now you're doing a radio show, and you're still doing Constituting America. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm on O'Reilly every Friday night too now.
When do you sleep?
Not much, because I drive back and forth to the ranch all the time, taking my daughter to school, so it's busy.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, listen, you are doing your third annual 90-day forum. This is where you take a look at the U.S. Constitution, the amendments to the Constitution, and you just kind of delve in and explore how we got to where we are today, right? And how that document was created.
Well, yes, we've had, we launched Constituting America in 2010, and our first forum was on the Federalist Papers. Last year, in 2011, was on the Constitution. And we decided this year to just pull the amendments out of the Constitution and focus on the amendments. And, boy, I'm loving it. I mean, we spent about 8 days just on the First Amendment alone. And now this week, we're studying the Second Amendment, the good old Second
Yay!
Amendment. Yay!
We like that amendment. So you've got some folks who've written about the Second Amendment on the Constituting America website, including Professor John Lott, who is the author of More Guns, Less Crime, and he's got a new book coming out as well, I believe.
Oh, yes, and I interviewed him on my radio show today, and he's really fantastic, and he wrote really a brilliant essay that's up on our website today on Constituting America, and Professor Nipris wrote an essay yesterday on it. Well, I tell you what, I love these forums, these 90 and 90-day forums, where we study 90 essays on the subject at hand every year. I learned so much. And I'm doing something new this year. I'm actually reading them on camera, so they're up on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild
Nice.
experience, I got to tell you.
So, what have you learned about the Second Amendment that you were not aware of before now, Janine?
Well, I've learned that I've always believed it was incredibly pivotal. And today with Dr. Lott, we were discussing, the aspect of militia
Mm-hmm.
and how the states still have the right to a militia. We talked about the standing army. And, one thing we talked about, interestingly enough, in regard to the standing army is how the founding fathers and, a lot of anti-federalists especially were really worried about a standing army and what would happen that it would be used in the way it was in the days of the monarchs and used against the people. And, we had this discussion about the fact how honorable our army really is, how our army has always served its purpose, has never tried to overtake the people or the country like happening in Egypt and in other countries. And in that respect, I'm very, very proud of our army, but also the importance of the militia, sort of with Arizona. It's an interesting thought to think about the fact that they could garner their own militia and protect their own border. Not to mention how important it is that another thing we learned today when I was talking with Dr. Lott is how the Supreme Court decision about the Chicago gun ban,
Mm-hmm.
how all the crime rates they were saying, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of guns. It's going to be, Wild West. It's going to be terrible. And actually, all the crime rates have gone down since the gun ban was lifted in Chicago. So that was pretty interesting as well.
Absolutely. Well, I think the same can be said. I mean, would you go back like 30 years in this country, and I would say that we had a lot more gun control laws on the books than we do now. We certainly have the ability to carry concealed in a number more states, castle doctrine legislation. And, our crime rate in the United States is at a 40-year low right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, besides the fact that we have a fundamental right to keep and bear arms for defense of ourselves and those we love, I think, practically speaking, what was it Robert Heinlein said, an armed society is a polite society. I think that there is clearly something to that. When you have good people owning firearms, the bad people are perhaps a little bit more hesitant to prey on us.
Well, and the Second Amendment really does protect the First Amendment. And, if you look back at any dictatorship, the first thing that a tyrant or, a monarch or something of that nature will do is will disarm the people. And as soon as the people are disarmed, guess what's next? Or if you disarm the people, what's coming is a tyrant or a dictatorship. I just think the Second Amendment is just absolutely a pivotal right for us. And what's interesting, I know all your listeners know this, but But it's so important that we reelect a Republican president in 2012 because that Supreme Court decision in Chicago was 5-4.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
was.
if Obama wins and if someone resigns, and if we end up getting a liberal Supreme Court justice, we may lose our Second Amendment, which would, I don't know, what would happen if that happened? Can you imagine? What would happen in America if we lost our Second Amendment right? I don't think up here in the country they'd take too kindly to it.
I have a I have a feeling down there in the Lone Star State, it would not be good. But you're absolutely right, Janine, and this is something that we've talked about because over the next 4 years, the chances of a justice or two, or perhaps even three, on the Supreme Court stepping down is pretty good. Not to mention all of the justices at the appellate level, at the district court level, that the next president will be able to nominate and put on the bench. And, those judges are going to be around long after the next president has left the White House, which means that they're going to be making decisions for decades to come in some cases. And as you say, a 5-4 decision in Heller, a 5-4 decision in McDonald, one justice going the other way, or you replace one of the majority with somebody whose views align with the minority in those cases, and all of a sudden the Second Amendment gets relitigated, and that right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed all of a sudden turns into the right of the National Guard to exist shall not be questioned, or something like that.
Oh, I know. And they'll tell you, the militia will be gone too. And how can we defend ourselves? I mean, even leaving the militia to the right of the states, and this is why it's so important that the people have the right too, because the states can turn on you as well. The people must have the right to arm themselves. And it's a pretty frightening thought if we do lose the Second Amendment. It's closer than the potentiality of that. I think is much closer than anybody. We know. But
Well, no, I think you're right.
I think learning the Constitution is so important about its relevancy. But they could overturn it in the legislative branch. I've been learning through this process that we've all grown to believe in this country. Ironically, not even the true intent of our founding fathers. That once the Supreme Court makes a decision, that's it. But we could overturn it in the legislative branch. Absolutely,
and I think that is what you would likely see. Your first step would be a new constitutional amendment. I know that there are those sometimes on the left in this country who say, "Oh, it's too difficult to actually amend the Constitution. Let's just pretend it means something different." But I think in that case, if you ever did see the Supreme Court basically overturn our right to keep and bear arms, you would see a much more explicit protection of our right to own a firearm probably get introduced, and who knows, maybe that would be the latest amendment to the Constitution.
Yes, that and a balanced budget.
But let's hope
we can think about.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have to do that, though.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Let's keep the one we have.
Electing a Republican is so important in 2012, though.
I like the one that we have. So, Janine, what's the website? Where can people
go to read this?
What do you mean
you like the one that we have?
No, I mean I like the Second Amendment that we have now.
Oh, I thought you meant you.
No. No, I'm still talking amendments.
Okay, got it.
I'm with you in terms of getting out and voting in November. I'm with you on that.
Okay, good.
Did I throw you for a loop there? Did you get a little scared?
Yes, I did. I got a little frightened.
Was I talking to, who am I talking to? Ed Schultz? I thought I was talking to Cam Edwards. What is this? Hey, I've got to ask you, Janine, before we let you go, there's been a lot of talk over the past few days about this woman, Sandra Fluke. And what Rush Limbaugh called her, and he apologized today. But we've also seen the other side of this, where Laura Ingraham has said, "Hey, I'm still waiting on a phone call from the president based on what Ed Schultz called me." Sarah Palin has been called some pretty nasty names by people like Bill Maher, and apparently that is socially acceptable and culturally acceptable. So I've got to ask you, first of all, what is your take on this clear double standard? I mean, Sandra Fluke can't be called that, but you could be called something much worse, Janine. And, I don't think President Obama would be calling you to see if you felt okay.
No, this is a complete political machine in action, and it's astonishing to me. And it's actually something I'm not going to let up on. I've been tweeting all day about it. I've written an op-ed about it. It's sort of Nancy Pelosi at her spinning wheel, going round and round and round. And, it's sort of like putting the blindfold of wool around everybody's eyes so that no one can pin the tail on the donkey in regard to what's really, really happening here, and that the infringement of our religious liberty and the usurpation of this executive branch into the government, to the lives of the American people, and this is just the beginning of what's going to happen And they're just spinning it. They're just absolutely spinning it away from the true issue, which is what this Obamacare mandate has done, and to infringe upon religious liberty, telling Americans what the government, what insurance companies have to do, what they can't do, and it's a bad omen of what's to come. And they're spinning it. I mean, it's really not about this whole contraception issue is ridiculous. Who says that women are entitled to free contraception or free anything in this country? It's just mind-boggling to me. As I like to say, America was built with our hands at work, not with our hands out. And Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Well, the new saying has become, "Give me liberty and gimme gimme." But the problem is we can't have both in this country. With every gimme that we get, we lose a bit of liberty. And no one's going to apologize to a conservative. No way. It's blatant hypocrisy. It's disturbing.
Well, it is disturbing, and as you say, I don't really think it's. I don't really think what a talk show host says on the air should all of a sudden be the biggest news story in the country. I don't mean to denigrate my profession or anything, but again, I'm still trying to figure out why all of a sudden this was a huge deal, other than, as you say, it is a useful distraction.
Oh, it's a spin that the media wants. They're just, Rush gave them a great gift, and they've just pounced on it, and it's just a spin that they've all been looking for. And unfortunately, I think that they're winning. And I think we as the conservatives and Republican movement, I don't care, libertarians, independents, anyone who cares about the future of this country, we can't let them get away with this spin, because they're getting all off topic here about the infringement of our rights and that's why we think this study for Constituting America is so pivotal to really understand. Last year was the Constitution, and this is part of the Constitution, but to really study our Bill of Rights, it's pretty important in all the amendments.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Janine, pleased to have you on the program again, and hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah, it's always great. I really enjoy it. Thanks for asking me to be on the show again tonight.
Absolutely. Janine Turner joining us, founder and co-chair of Constituting America.